Preserving video games. The reason why I chose this topic is because I like video games. I find them interesting, and just when I looked up video games, preserving was what came up, and it's kind of interesting talking about as we talked about the curve of relevance of media as it comes into the life and its lifelong expectation, as well as kind of how we preserve it. My first source is the National Video Game Museum. It's located based in Britain. At least this one that I'm talking about is. For in November 2018, they moved the National Video Game Arcade, which was the museum, but it was just an arcade where people could come, play, and they decided to Sheffield, and they renamed it the National Video Game Museum for such. Then in mid-October of 2020, they won the Best Website Activity Award at National Kids in Museum Awards. Next source I did was the Video Game History Foundation. Here we can see the orange is for video games. I believe blue is books and pink is documentaries. As we see, there aren't very many of video games in many of these things, except for revenue, where video games make up a good majority of it compared to... Oh, for music and film. My bad. My apologies. Pink is film, blue is music, I believe. The Video Game History Foundation is a 501c3 nonprofit organization dedicated to preserving, celebrating, and teaching the history of video games, and that's their mission. They do a very good job of preserving it and making it, preserving the games and the systems they are played on. Next, we go to video games with copyright with preserving video games. My camera is in a bad place. Lowood talks about how because of the copyright issues and people with them, companies having able to re-release games, they can't preserve old video games just because of the copyright, and companies can make a lot of money from them. David Gibson, archivist from the Library of Congress, was saying that they have the 1980s and 90s are very blank for video games just because of the copyright issues when talking about the collection in 2019. And then we have a rulemaking for copyright on video games in 2024, and Albertson wants us to kind of try to gain more exemptions as we try to learn more about it. And then here are my citations for the National Video Game Museum. Sorry about that. We use the nvm.org/about. Then we use the WashingtonPost.com here for that. And then for the game history with all the charts and stuff, we did the gamehistory.org/our mission. And that is preserving video games with copyright and just preserving them in general.